The night on Station Helios 9 moved slow, heavy, and cold. Neon lights flickered across metal walkways, casting long shadows that stretched like broken fingers. The air smelled of burnt coolant and old wires. Workers moved quietly, tired from endless shifts. But one person stood out more than anyone else. Her name was Raya Sol, an alien woman with silver skin and tired violet eyes. She walked with slow steps, like someone fighting sleep with every breath. Her uniform was soaked from the artificial rain falling from faulty pipes above. She didn't complain. She never did. She just kept walking into the darkness of the service corridor. From a distance, a human watched her. His name was Jonas Hale, a shop owner on the lower deck. He wasn't a soldier or a hero, just a simple man who repaired tools, scanners, and old human gadgets. But tonight, something about Raya's movements pulled his attention. She looked fragile, almost collapsing, yet forcing herself to move. Jonas narrowed his eyes. Why was she still working? It was long after shift hours. No worker stayed out this late unless something was very wrong. He stepped out of his shop and followed her quietly. He wasn't spying for fun. He felt something strange, a sense of danger, a sense that the world around her was not as simple as it looked. Raya reached a locked maintenance door and scanned her ID. The panel blinked red. Access denied. She tried again. Same result. She let out a soft breath, lowered her head, and whispered something to herself. Jonas could see her shoulders shaking. She was exhausted. She was scared. And she was hiding something. He stayed in the shadows, watching. The corridor around them was empty. Most workers slept in their quarters. Only security drones floated around, humming softly like metal insects. Suddenly, Raya pulled out a tiny device from her pocket, something Jonas had never seen before. It looked like a compressed data core, glowing faint blue. She pressed it against the door panel. Sparks jumped. The door clicked and slowly opened. Jonas felt his heartbeat pick up. She wasn't just a tired worker. She was trying to break into a restricted zone. She walked inside quickly, glancing over her shoulder as if someone might be following. She didn't notice Jonas hiding behind a cargo crate. He knew he shouldn't get involved. Humans and aliens kept their distance on Helios 9. Everyone had their secrets. Everyone struggled quietly. But something inside him, something stubborn, something human, pushed him forward. He stepped closer to the open door and peeked inside. The room beyond was dark, filled with the low hum of power coils. Blue lights blinked across the walls. Strange symbols floated in the air, projected by alien tech he didn't recognize. And in the center of the room, something pulsed under a metal cover, like a heart trapped in a cage. Raya knelt beside it, her hands shaking as she tried to stabilize the containment locks. Jonas whispered under his breath, "What are you doing?" He didn't know if she was saving something, or hiding something, or preparing something dangerous. But he could tell one thing. Raya was in trouble. Real trouble. A loud metallic clang suddenly echoed from the far hallway. Raya froze. Jonas ducked back behind the wall. Heavy footsteps approached, not human ones. They were deeper, stronger, mechanical. Security units. Raya's eyes widened in fear. Jonas stared at her, and he made a choice. He stepped out of hiding, grabbed the control panel, and slapped his hand against it. The door slid shut between her and the incoming guards, locking her inside. He whispered to himself, "Hang in there. I'm not letting them take you." And for the first time, the tired alien woman looked up, surprised that a human had chosen her side. The corridor outside trembled as the heavy footsteps grew louder. Jonas felt vibrations through the metal floor. Security units on Helios 9 were not normal guards. They were reinforced exoframes, machines built to crush problems before they spread. If they reached the chamber, Raya wouldn't stand a chance. Jonas pressed his back against the door, breathing fast. He had no plan, no weapon, no authority, just instinct. Inside the room, Raya stood completely still, staring at the sealed door. She didn't understand why Jonas helped her. Humans usually avoided her kind. Many whispered things about her race, that they were dangerous, unpredictable, or carrying strange diseases. None of it was true, but rumors were powerful on a crowded station where fear spread faster than light. Raya shook those thoughts away. She moved toward the glowing metal capsule in the center of the chamber. It pulsed again, faster this time, like it sensed danger too. Thin blue veins of light crawled across its surface. Jonas tapped on the door lightly. "Are you okay in there?" Raya hesitated. You shouldn't be here, human. They will punish you for helping me. Jonas let out a nervous laugh. Too late for that now. Inside, Raya opened a small console attached to the capsule. Holographic warnings flashed in her alien language. Core stability, 12%. Time remaining, undefined. Radiation breach possible. Jonas couldn't see the screen, but he heard her sharp breath. Raya, what is that thing? She didn't want to answer, but she had no choice. If she wanted his help, he deserved the truth, or at least part of it. It's a containment heart, she said softly. It powers the entire lower deck. But it is failing. If it collapses, this whole section of the station will tear apart. Jonas swallowed hard. Then why are you fixing it alone? Where are your supervisors? She looked away, shame flickering in her eyes. They removed me from the team. Said I was too slow. Too weak. But I was the one who installed this unit. I'm the only one who knows how to stabilize it completely. Jonas clenched his jaw. So she wasn't trespassing for herself. She was saving the station. Suddenly, a deep metallic voice thundered from the hallway. Unauthorized presence detected. Force entry initiated. Raya's eyes widened. They're going to break through. Sparks erupted from the door as the security units forced their hydraulic arms into the seam. Jonas stepped back, heart pounding. Can you fix it before they enter? He asked. I can try, Raya whispered. But I need more time. Time was the one thing they didn't have. Jonas scanned the hallway quickly. His mind raced. Then he spotted something. An old emergency vent panel above him. Rusty. Loosely attached. Exactly the kind of thing a desperate human could use. He climbed onto a crate and punched the release bar. The vent door fell open with a loud clang. Perfect. He leaned close to the sealed chamber door and whispered, Raya, when they break in, stay out of sight. I'm going to lead them away. What? No. They will kill you, she said. Maybe, he replied. But if that core blows, we're both dead anyway. The door shook harder. A metal fist punched halfway through, snapping bolts free. Raya reached out and placed her hand against the barrier, as if touching him through the metal. You don't even know me, she whispered. Jonas gave a tired smile. I don't need to know you to do the right thing. The final bolt snapped. Jonas took one last breath, jumped into the vent, and crawled fast through the darkness as the security units smashed into the chamber. Below him, he heard metal crash, alarms shriek, and Raya's voice, calm but trembling, as she fought to save a dying engine heart. And for the first time in a long time, Jonas felt something rise inside him. Courage. Human courage. The kind that changes everything. The vent shaft was narrow, cold, and coated with dust that clung to Jonas' clothes. Metal groaned under his weight as he crawled through the tunnel with rapid breaths. Every sound behind him echoed like thunder, the stomping of security units searching for intruders. Their heavy metal frames crashed against walls, sending vibrations up through the vent. Jonas pushed forward faster. He didn't know where the shaft led. He didn't have a map. He only knew one thing. He had to buy Raya time. Below him, through the thin metal of the shaft, he could hear the security units scanning the chamber. Primary target located. Neutralization protocol active. Jonas gritted his teeth. They were going for her. He punched open a side vent and dropped into a lower maintenance hallway. His feet hit the ground hard. Pain shot up his legs, but he forced himself to move. The hallway lights flickered. Shadows shifted like they were alive. Jonas ran past old pipes and abandoned tool stations, trying to draw the machines away from Raya. He slammed a metal wrench against the wall, letting the noise echo through the corridors. Come on, you walking tin cans. Over here. Far behind him, the mechanical voices intensified. Secondary target detected. Pursuit engaged. Good. They were following him. Up in the hidden chamber, Raya worked alone. Her hands trembled as she reattached the stabilizer coils around the containment heart. The core's light dimmed and brightened, like a creature struggling to stay alive. The humming grew uneven. Sparks jumped from the power lines. Core stability, 7%. Critical failure imminent. Raya exhaled sharply, whispering to herself, please hold, just a little longer. But she couldn't stop thinking about the human who had saved her. Jonas Hale, a man she barely knew, had risked everything, his job, his life, his future, just to give her a chance. In her world, humans rarely intervened in alien problems. Their kindness was limited, their trust even more rare. Yet here he was, carrying her burden. Raya blinked away the sting in her eyes and forced her focus back to the core. Meanwhile, Jonas reached a junction and skidded to a stop. The sound of heavy metal footsteps approached from behind. He looked around desperately. The only way was up, a rusty ladder leading to a higher walkway. He climbed quickly, hands slipping from sweat and dust. As he reached the top, a security unit stepped into view below him. Its glowing red eye scanned the area. Jonas held his breath. Then, the machine raised its arm. A targeting laser traced across the wall, getting closer to him. No, come on. Jonas grabbed a loose cable hanging from the ceiling and yanked it free. Sparks burst out, showering the walkway. The machine detected the noise instantly and redirected its attention. Electrical damage detected. Investigating. Jonas threw the cable onto the opposite end of the platform. It landed with another loud crackle. The machine followed the sound, walking away from him. Jonas let out the breath he was holding. He felt a rush of relief and fear at the same time. This wasn't a game anymore. He wasn't just running. He was fighting, using every scrap of human instinct he had. He checked the vent shaft above, then whispered to himself. Hold on, Raya. I'm not quitting now. Back in the chamber, alarms blared loudly. Time remaining, for minutes. Stability below minimum. Containment collapse likely. Raya's eyes widened. She was running out of time. She tightened bolts, rewired connections, and stabilized the reactor frame. Her breath was sharp. Her skin shimmered with stress. She needed just one more lockdown cycle. Just one. But she didn't know how much longer Jonas could keep the machines away. And Jonas, he didn't know how much longer his legs would keep moving. Yet both of them pushed forward, a human and an alien, connected by one simple thing. Neither of them wanted to give up. Not tonight. Not like this. Jonas stumbled through another dim corridor, lungs burning, legs shaking with exhaustion. The metal floor vibrated under his boots. The security units were no longer just following him. They were tracking him. Their heavy footsteps echoed like war drums, slow and sure, getting closer each second. He glanced back. A red glow flickered at the far end of the hall. They were coming. But Jonas didn't stop. He turned a corner and found himself in a narrow walkway above a massive turbine pit. Hot steam blasted upward in bursts, filling the air with white clouds. The walkway shook each time the turbines rotated. It wasn't safe, but nothing about tonight was safe. Jonas wiped the sweat from his forehead. I hope you're fixing that thing, Raya, because I'm running out of tricks. Down in the hidden chamber, Raya's hands moved rapidly across the glowing console. Her silver skin shimmered under the flickering lights. The containment heart's pulse was erratic now, bright one moment, dim the next, like it was struggling for air. Core stability, for percent. Failure soon. Raya swallowed, panic climbing up her throat. But she forced her hands steady. She had repaired dozens of energy units in her life, but never alone, and never with time running out like this. She whispered to herself, Jonas, please stay alive. Suddenly, a violent tremor shook the chamber. The heart released a sharp burst of blue light that threw Raya backward. She hit the ground hard, metal scraping her arm. Pain shot through her side. She tried to stand, but her legs trembled. The holographic warnings changed rapidly. Containment breach, 20%. Melt cascade started. Her eyes widened in horror. If the melt cascade continued, the entire lower deck would collapse inward like a dying star. She gritted her teeth and forced herself up. No, not yet. Stay together. Stay alive. She reached the console again and pressed her hand against the override plate. The machine scanned her palm, glowed red, and denied her command. Jonas, meanwhile, raced across the shaking walkway. The heat from below felt like fire against his skin. Steam shot upward, nearly burning his face. If he slipped, he would fall straight into the rotating blades. Then he heard it. Thud, thud, thud. The security units had reached the walkway. Jonas turned. Two towering metal frames stepped through the steam clouds, their red eyes glowing like burning coals. One of them raised an arm. A beam of light traced toward Jonas' chest. He dove behind a support pillar as a plasma bolt smashed into the walkway, sending molten sparks across the floor. The metal groaned under the damage. Jonas' heart raced. He was running out of space, then options. He spotted an old breaker panel on the wall beside him. Half-rusted, wires exposed, but still active. A crazy idea formed in his mind. He yanked the panel open and grabbed a thick live cable. Electricity hummed violently through it. His hand shook. "This is either brilliant or stupid," he muttered. He aimed the cable toward the walkway's metal railing and slammed it onto the surface. Electricity surged outward like a wave. The entire walkway lit up in a blinding flash. The nearest security unit convulsed as electricity coursed through its metal frame. Its glowing eye flickered. Its movement slowed. Jonas shouted through gritted teeth as the cable sparked in his hand. "Come on, fall already." The machine staggered, and then it collapsed, hitting the floor with a thunderous crash. Jonas dropped the cable, his hand numb and shaking. He didn't have time to celebrate. The second machine was still standing. It tilted its head and scanned Jonas again. Jonas whispered, breathless, "You've got to be kidding me." Back in the chamber, Raya made a final attempt. She slammed a manual stabilizer rod into place and connected it to the dying heart. Energy blasted through the rod, burning her palm, but she held on with trembling fingers. "Stay alive, stay alive." Her entire body shook as the core pulsed violently. She could feel it slipping. At the same time, Jonas faced the last security unit, sweat dripping down his face, fear pounding in his chest, but he held his ground. Human stubbornness, human courage, and the station's fate balanced on both of them. The turbine pit glowed red beneath Jonas, lighting the metal walkway like a path into a furnace. Steam burst upward in violent waves, making the air shimmer in front of him. The remaining security unit stepped forward slowly, each heavy footstep sending a metallic tremble through the rails. Jonas backed away, chest heaving. He had no cable left, no plan, just raw fear and the fading strength of a human who refused to quit. The machine raised its arm again. A faint humming sound signaled another plasma shot charging. Jonas whispered, "Move, move, move." He sprinted toward the far end of the walkway just as a blazing bolt tore past him, exploding against the rails. The blast nearly threw him over the edge. He grabbed the side railing, breath sharp, hands burning from the hot metal. Sparks rained down into the turbine pit. Behind him, the security unit resumed its steady march. Jonas forced his shaking legs to run again. Meanwhile, in the hidden chamber, Raya hung onto the stabilizer rod with both hands. The containment heart pulsed violently, blue energy shooting out in wild bursts. Her skin glowed faintly from the radiation, but she refused to let go. The console displayed new warnings. Stability, 3%. Melt cascade, 42%. Full collapse in 90 seconds. Raya's breath came out in sharp gasps. Her arms were numb. Her vision blurred. But she pushed harder. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Jonas, please, just give me a little more time." Back on the walkway, Jonas realized he had reached a dead end. A broken gap separated him from the next platform. The jump looked impossible, a 2-meter gap with the entire station shaking beneath him. He looked back. The metal giant stepped out of the steam. Its glowing red eye locked onto him. Jonas closed his eyes for a moment. He thought about his small shop, the smell of old wires, the quiet nights fixing tools for miners, the life he lived without problems or purpose. And then he thought of Raya, exhausted, alone, thrown aside because she was too slow, but still fighting, still trying to save everyone. He opened his eyes again. "No retreat," he whispered. "Not tonight." He took a running start. The walkway shook. Steam blasted upward. The machine fired another plasma bolt. The heat grazed Jonas' shoulder. Pain exploded across his skin, but he kept running. He leaped. For a second, he felt weightless, floating above fire and metal. His hands slammed into the opposite platform's edge. Pain shot through his arms as he dangled above the turbine pit. "Come on, come on," he gasped as he pulled himself up. He rolled onto solid ground just as the machine reached the broken section. The security unit aimed its arm, but the gap was too wide for it. It scanned left, then right, assessing the new situation. Jonas lay flat, chest rising and falling fast. He whispered, "I'm still here. Not done yet." The machine didn't turn away. Instead, it stepped back and began rerouting its path, searching for another route to reach him. Jonas groaned. "Of course, you're not that stupid." He forced himself to stand again and ran toward the upper maintenance deck, praying it would lead him close enough to the chamber to help Raya again. Inside the chamber, Raya screamed as the containment heart released a violent shockwave. The stabilizer rod ripped from her hands, and sparks flew across the floor. She fell to her knees, clutching her burned palms. The console lights flashed rapidly. Core stability, 1%. Melt cascade, 71%. Total failure imminent. Raya crawled toward the heart, tears slipping down her cheeks. "Don't die, please," she whispered. Outside the chamber, Jonas reached a service lift and slammed the emergency lever. The lift shook as it rose toward the level above the core room. He wasn't running away anymore. He was going back. He didn't know how he would help her. He didn't know if he could even fight anymore. But Jonas Hale had made a decision. If the heart was going to break, he would be there beside Raya, fighting with her until the last second. The lift doors opened, and he stepped out into the final stretch of the disaster he had chosen to face. The lift doors slid open with a harsh metallic scrape. Jonas staggered out, gripping the side rail to steady himself. His shoulder throbbed from the earlier plasma burn. Sweat stung his eyes. Every breath felt like fire in his chest. But he kept moving. The corridor ahead pulsed with red emergency lights. Alarms echoed through the steel walls like cries from a dying beast. Smoke drifted from broken panels, curling upward like ghostly fingers. Jonas whispered under his breath, "Raya, I'm coming." He sprinted down the hallway, boots clanging against the floor. Each step brought him closer to the core chamber and closer to the danger. Behind him, the pounding footsteps of the security unit returned. The machine had found another route. Its heavy frame slammed into walls as it followed him through narrow passages, tearing through anything blocking its path. Jonas didn't look back. Looking back meant slowing down, and slowing down meant death. Inside the chamber, Raya dragged herself across the floor toward the containment heart. Her burns glowed faintly. Her breath came in broken gasps. The heart pulsed violently, now a storm of unstable energy. The console displayed its final warning. Stability, 0%. Melt cascade, 89%. Final collapse in 30 seconds. Raya's voice cracked. "No, please, please, not yet." She reached for the emergency override valve located behind the heart, a mechanism only used in the most desperate situations. But it was jammed shut, sealed from disuse and rust. Her trembling fingers pushed against it. It didn't move. She pressed harder. Still nothing. Raya closed her eyes as tears slipped down her cheeks. I can't open it." Suddenly, the chamber door shook violently as someone slammed their shoulder against it. Bang! Raya's eyes widened. Bang! Bang! And then, Raya opened the door. Jonas' voice echoed through the metal. Her heart jumped. She crawled toward the panel, entered a quick override, and the door slid open just as Jonas stumbled inside, gasping for breath. He froze at the sight of her burned hands and the dying core. "Tell me what to do," he said immediately. Raya shook her head. "The override valve jammed, won't move." Jonas ran toward it. The valve was thick, rusted, and fused to the casing. He grabbed it with both hands and pulled. Nothing. He pressed harder, veins straining in his neck. Still nothing. He turned to her. "Raya, what happens if we don't open this?" She swallowed painfully. "The melt cascade will reach 100%. The whole deck, maybe the entire station, will collapse." Jonas wiped sweat off his forehead. "Okay, then we open it." He wrapped his hands around the valve again. His palms burned. His muscles screamed. Raya crawled next to him and placed her hands over his, guiding him. "Turn it counterclockwise, slowly, but with force." Jonas inhaled deeply. "Together," he said. They turned the valve. It didn't budge. Jonas growled, pushing harder. Metal groaned. The valve trembled. The chamber lights flickered violently as the containment heart convulsed. Raya's voice shook. "It's starting. The cascade is almost." Jonas roared like every ounce of human stubbornness exploded out of him. He twisted with everything he had. Crack. The valve snapped loose. Both of them fell backward as a burst of cold vapor shot out of the base of the heart. Raya scrambled to the console and slammed the final override. The holograms flickered. Stabilizer engaged. Cascade paused. Power diversion active. The core's violent pulsing slowed, but only slightly. Raya's breath caught. It's not enough. The heart still needs a manual energy feed. Jonas frowned. In English. Raya looked at him, fear and hope mixing in her eyes. It needs someone to stabilize it from inside the conduit. Someone has to hold the energy path open until the system resets. Jonas blinked. That sounds like suicide. Raya didn't answer. She didn't need to. He stepped closer. Tell me where to go. She grabbed his arm. No, Jonas. Your body isn't built for this energy. You'll burn. He smiled weakly. Humans burn bright. She shook her head, tears forming. I don't want you to die because of me. He gently loosened her grip. I'm not dying for you, he said. I'm fighting with you. And then the chamber trembled again. Cascade restarted. 18 seconds left. Jonas took a deep breath and stepped toward the glowing conduit door. The chamber roared like a storm trapped inside steel walls. Blue energy swirled violently around the containment heart, shaking pipes, cracking panels, and making the air vibrate. The cascade countdown flashed across the console. Cascade restarted. 15 seconds. 14. 13. Jonas stepped toward the conduit door, a round metallic hatch glowing with dangerous light from inside. The heat radiating from it was intense. His skin prickled. His breath grew shallow. Raya crawled after him and grabbed his arm again. Jonas, don't. Please. You won't survive. He looked down at her trembling hands, her eyes full of fear. Raya, somebody has to go in. Her voice broke. But it doesn't have to be you. Jonas smiled. Tired, scared, but steady. Raya, I'm not strong. I'm not fast. I'm not some hero. I'm just a man who fixes broken things. He pointed toward the dying heart. And that thing is broken. If I can fix machines, maybe I can fix this too. Raya's breath hitched. You're human. Your body will burn in seconds. Jonas shrugged softly. Then seconds will have to be enough. The countdown continued. 10, 9, 8. Jonas placed his hand on the conduit wheel. The metal burned his skin instantly. He clenched his teeth and turned it until the hatch cracked open. A blinding blue light flooded the room. The energy inside looked alive, like a swirling vortex made of lightning and heat. Raya stood, shaking her head in disbelief. Jonas, no one would do this. He turned toward her, voice steady despite the fear. I would. The machine behind him thundered as the cascade intensified. The metal walls groaned, threatening to collapse. Raya took a step toward him. Wait, let me go with you. Jonas shook his head. You need to stay here. You're the only one who knows how to finish the reset. If I keep the conduit open, you can stabilize the heart. Her eyes filled with tears. Why are you doing this for someone like me? Jonas met her gaze, soft but strong. No one deserves to fight alone. For a moment, a brief, breathless moment, they simply stared at each other. A human and an alien. Two people who had lived invisible, quiet lives. Two people who were never meant to cross paths. But fate and courage brought them together. The countdown reached. 5, 4. Jonas gripped the edges of the glowing hatch, took one final breath, and stepped inside the conduit. Heat slammed into him like a wave of fire. His vision blurred instantly. Every nerve in his body screamed. But he held on, bracing himself against the pulsing currents. Behind him, Raya steadied herself at the console. She shouted over the roar. Jonas, hold it open. He shouted back, voice raw. Do it, before I turn to smoke. Raya's fingers flew across the panel. She activated the final sequence. Stabilizers sync. 30%. 45%. 62%. Jonas felt energy tearing through his arms. He gritted his teeth and planted his feet firmly. The brilliant blue light wrapped around him, threatening to break him apart. He screamed, but he didn't let go. 89%. 93%. 98%. 100%. The entire chamber exploded with light. Then, silence. A deep, heavy silence. The cascade countdown vanished. The core pulse calmed, turning into a steady, gentle rhythm. Raya fell to her knees, gasping. Tears streamed down her face. She looked toward the conduit. Jonas? Smoke drifted from the hatch. The metal glowed dimly. But inside, Jonas lay on the floor, unconscious yet breathing. Alive. Barely. Raya rushed to him, gathered him in her arms, and held him tightly. Humans, she whispered with a trembling smile. You burn yourselves to save everyone else. As emergency crews rushed in and the alarms gradually faded, Raya looked down at the human who changed everything. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a hero. He wasn't chosen by fate. He was just Jonas, the human who wouldn't walk away. And that was enough to save them all.